Go further, go faster, get fitter. Subscribe today. Hurricane e-bikes have a great range of bikes available on the e-bike subscription plans. The Cruiser e-bikes are perfect for beach rides, long distance rides, or just everyday use. The Fat Bike e-bikes look great and can cope with the toughest terrain, perfect for off-road adventures. The hybrids range are perfect for about town, everyday use, and leisurely rides with the family. Take your ride to the next level with the mountain bike and get ready for your next power-assisted adventure.
Right. So that it makes me excited because
You
there's
could get
so
the foundation. You could put the foundations in.
like not even me, but there's just so much room
Someone's
for
got to do it, mate.
the whole UK ice hockey community to take a massive level up just by focusing a bit more on being athletes instead of just being ice hockey players. Like the whole GB, like if say if that were to pan out and strength and conditioning in UK ice hockey is really developed and the culture really changes over the next 10 years. I really don't think there's any limit
Zero
to where
negatives.
to where the GB team could be in 10, 15 years.
100%.
Just by
what lets us down when we go to these tournaments? And let's call a fucking spade a spade here. We are not as athletic as them.
Yeah.
Whether it be under 18s, whether it be under 20s, whether it be fucking men's.
Yeah.
You're telling me Liam Kirk scored 7 goals against the best fucking goalies on the world.
Yeah.
Like, we have talent. Like, we can do this shit. But we also have guys, and don't get me wrong, this is not me criticizing our fucking national team because it's not. But there's no one knocking down the fucking door to go, Kirky, get out of the way. I want your spot. And you're going, oh, did you hear about this kid? He's playing the U17s. He squats 140, benches 120. He's 6'1" and fucking 96 kilos. Yeah, you look at the NHL draft and these OHL, WHL, Quebec Major Junior kids, and you're going, how the fuck is that kid 6'4" and 118 kilos and he's got a 6-pack? You're like, it's not by accident. Okay, obviously, genetically, height, weight, whatever. But being jacked and being an athlete I can't explain to people. And for those that listened on about my UK anti-doping ban, I don't want to make this about me at all, but we're going to talk about that. We spoke about this, and me and Rupe spoke briefly off air. I don't think they have any idea of what sort of level of athletes that we're talking about, because we're not talking about athletes, because in every other sport they have these things in place by the time that you're working with 16, 17, 18-year-olds. They are in a program. They are reliant on their external support team, whether it be strength and conditioning, massage, fucking physio, whoever it is. Whereas in ice hockey, our pros don't even have that, let alone our kids. We need development in that structure. Like I talked about going to Florida. IMG Academy, when I went there, we had access to the IMG Academy gym. Now, you can look at IMG now. They're one of the biggest marketing companies on the fucking planet, management companies on the planet. Sorry. And they have the USA national team there. They have PGA golfers there. They have NFL prospects there. They have everybody there. We had access to that at 15 years old. Not only we have access to that, we had access to the coaches. We didn't do a session that entire season. It wasn't like just go in the gym, lads, and fucking chuck some weights around. Every single session of that entire season, we had somebody we had 3 coaches putting 20 of us through a fucking session. Coaches, not just like guys that worked in the gym. This was their job. This was their full-time job, was to make us better athletes. And there was not one single kid, no matter how good on the ice they were, there was not one single kid that didn't leave that 7-8 month program as a better fucking athlete, bigger, stronger, more muscular, better developed, better posture, better mobility. There wasn't one athlete in the entire program. Yeah, maybe some of them were shit at hockey, but they're always going to be shit at hockey. But now they're at least athletes. They go into the rest of their life and do whatever they want. They were 15, 16. They take that knowledge that they learn at that age for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, you're not gonna make You're not going to turn everyone into, Sidney Crosby or whatever. But it's like one thing you can try and do is make everyone a better athlete. It's like it should always start there rather than trying to make ice hockey players. It should always start trying to make people a good athlete, because if you make someone a good athlete, they are much more likely to be good at whatever they go and do. So you start with that, and then that's when you'll see, okay, you've covered that basis of just like base athleticism. Then let's see who emerges within their ice hockey specific skills and stuff like that. You do that. So like it's really interesting. Like when you compare like the ice hockey culture around training and other sports. Like so when I was playing in Telford, my little brother was a pole vaulter at Loughborough University. So he was like Loughborough's like the place to go for athletics, right? Like
it's the tits.
Like he's a little bit taller than me. Fucker.
What?
Yeah, a little bit. So
how
like
the fuck is he taller than you?
He's a very good athlete, like really good athlete. He started pole vaulting because he was going to try and be a decathlete, but then just got like mega sick at pole vault.
Turns out he was like really good at pole vaulting.
Yeah, and that became his specialism. So when he went to Loughborough, he was like top 10 in the country. Started going to uni there at uni age, like 18 or whatever. And so I would go over there from Telford. It's not that far. I'd like drive over. I'd go see him training. We'd hang out. I'd hang out with his like athletics friends and stuff like that. I'd crash at his, and then I'd drive back the next morning before practice. And I'd be like chatting to his athletics mates. They're all like, super, like just amazing physical specimens. I was by far the biggest slob walking into the whole place.
EPL Rupe.
Yeah. I like literally just come down from the Elite League, like absolute biggest slob walking into that facility. And his athletics friends would just be chatting to me. They'd be like, "Oh, so what do you do?" I'm like, "Oh, I play ice hockey." They're like, "What? You play ice hockey for like your job?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "You get paid for that?" I'm like, "Yeah." It's like, "Oh, what? And you can live off it?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, they put me and my missus up and stuff like that. It's all right. Like, pay is not like, it's not 50 grand a week or
a season.
Yeah. Sorry,
or a season.
Yeah,
or half of that a season, but still.
Yeah. I meant to say it's not 50 grand a year, but it was enough for me to live on, being like a 24,
yeah, of course, absolutely.
Yeah, and they were like, "Oh, so do you like play GB?" I'm like, "No, I'm nowhere close." And they're like, "Oh," and then I'm like, "So what do you do?" I'm like, "Well, I'm trying to make it to the Commonwealth Games, but in my spare time, I'm a Tesco delivery driver. I'm a full-time student, and I've got to be at the track 30 hours a week."
And people don't understand, it is 30 hours a week.
And that's like, they were literally top 5.
But they didn't miss a session either.
No. Well, no, if they did, they're gone. They're out.
Done. See ya.
It's these people are top 5 in their sport, in their country. What is expected of them as an athlete is just a whole nother level compared to what ice hockey players were. And we were the professional sports people.
And they were up and comers.
And they were that what not even up and comers. It's like there's
at the top of their game, but
they're like what was expected of them, even though they're not professional and they don't play a contact sport, was just like far beyond what is in any level of ice hockey in this country.
Well, so now, when I did my sports massage course,
yeah.
I got there's 30 of us in a classroom, and it just so happened that it was run out of Bournemouth University, and I got paired with this guy. His name is James Elliot. Now, for those that don't know, he's a British and competed for Great Britain at long jump and triple jump. So obviously, as things go, you follow each other on Instagram. That motherfucker's training is a joke.
Yeah.
Every single ice hockey player I know would be dead if they try to go and just fucking run along with his Tuesday morning session, this guy's no joke. Like, everything is inch perfect. To talking like, I see him complaining when he's jumping like 0.1 less than what he jumped last week.
Yeah.
And then he's showing his training and his progression, his sprints, and his this and his that. And every single aspect, from sprints to jumps to takeoff to fucking landing to falling to everything. Every detail is right there on his Instagram. If you want to be a jumper, go follow this guy, because you could follow him from the gym to the track to the training to the fucking Commonwealth to the Brits to the Euros to wherever this guy's going to go on to. Yet you say, he doesn't make a fucking pound out of that, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not really. He's not like going, oh, well, I don't have to go be a sports massage or a physio or a chiro. He has to go to work. Like, he's going to have to go to work. But he's still putting, you just said it, 30 hours a week in. Like.
Now, like, why? Like when at the EIHA in the presentation, I had my mug on the screen, my little brother's mug on the screen, and our 2 training programs, right? And I said to all the players, I was like, for what reason should the hockey player not be doing that training schedule? It's like, give me a reason. And the one reason, which is the only one legitimate reason, is game schedule, right?
Yeah.
Now, you play 2 games a week, you have to account for that. But they're like, in athletics, their training volume is like, they will be lifting before a competition. They will be lifting like in their warm-up just to get their force development up. It's if you are a trained athlete, there's no reason why you can't do some sort of training every day. Now, you're not going to be trying to do PBs every day. You're not going to be trying to do PBs very often at all, especially if you're peaking.
You shouldn't be.
But there's no reason why you can't squat the week of a game. You can't deadlift the week of the game. You can't do some sort of like plyometrics or sprint work the day before a game. Or, well, you should really be doing it in a warm-up. Like,
we spoke about off air. And I just touched on, me and Rupe, obviously, we're very, very similar backgrounds, ice hockey, fitness, etc. I was saying I did a workout today that was a day off for me that would fucking finish 95% of our population.
Yeah.
That was my day off workout. And like you said, you guys, could you get up and play hockey tomorrow? Fuck yeah. I can play hockey now. Like, but I've got my body to a stage of what 95% of you is a write-off, to me is a day off. Yeah. And that's my body now. That is my body now. Like, for me to get that aggressive fucking dying feeling, I'm gonna have to be going into the gym and doing PD sessions, which at 36, grey with one fucking hip and one shoulder, is very few and far between. But still, you better believe that I put the work in on the days that I don't want to be there. Today, I said, I did not want to go to the fucking gym today, but I went. And I felt better after it. And that's the other thing. You will always feel better after a session, and you will never feel better than going and smashing a session that you didn't want to be at, and then you smash it and go, what was I worried about? That was fucking, I nailed that. The dopamine hit that you get from that, because it's not only muscular, it's not only strength, it's mental. The mental capacity that allows you to compete at and be at is from breaking your body down physically and going, I can do this. I can put myself through that. I can put myself through one more rep. I can put myself through 10 more kilos. I can put myself through one more jump. And having that mental ability to be able to do that, and then you go, that was fucking shit. That hurt. That sucked. But I'm alive. I'm going. I'm kicking. I'm fit. I'm feeling good. Nothing competes to that.
And what I'll add to that is, so like you might be able to see, this house is like I've spent the last couple of years since we bought this house, I'm just like king of DIY. So like this is an absolute, well, I won't say I'm the king of DIY because most of it I'm not very good at, but I'm having to do a lot of it. So there's loads of shit which I had no idea how to do, and I have to learn, teach myself, go on YouTube. And it's like, before you go and start messing with wiring or plumbing or something like that, it's like you have that impending fear of,
I can't do this.
I don't know how to do this. A little bit worried about it, blah, blah, blah. What happens if I mess up? Blah, 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 blah. And then you do it and you think, oh, that was so fucking easy. Like, I don't understand why I was worried about. Training is the exact same thing. As soon as you start doing it a little bit and you get in the habit of doing it a little bit,
So ridiculous.
all that feeling of not knowing what to do and feeling like it's gonna be grueling or feeling like it's gonna be uncomfortable or hard, you start to realize that it's like, oh, actually, I'm just gonna go. It's just part of my routine. I'm just gonna go and, yeah, my heart rate's gonna get elevated. I might get burning my muscles or whatever. I might be doing a high effort squat or something like that. But you just get accustomed to all of it. And what I think, again, I'll come back to the responsibilities that like the organizations need to have, and like people like us need to have, is providing the resources. And if you provide the resources just to help people have the right stuff of what to do to make sure they're not going to stray too far wrong, it's like all that stuff. It's easy. It's an easy way.
As well as I do as well, Rupe. The ones that want to be fucking good, the ones that are different. Like we just heard about Connor Bedard taking his fucking rollerblades and ice hockey kit to Hawaii when he was 12 with his mum and dad, because he wasn't fucking going on that trip unless mum and dad took that with him. They're the few and far between specimens that you get, yeah? But for everybody else that's not Connor Bedard or Connor McDavid or Sidney Crosby, you better be ready. And that's how hard they're working. That's how they're where they are. If that's how hard the fucking best players working, you better have at least, 70-80% of that juice, because if you don't, you're so far behind. And that could be running that hill sprint that you don't want to do. That could be getting in from school when you're fucking tired and you've just had an exam. And the easiest thing for you to do right now is switch on the PS5, chuck on the headset, and shoot your shit with all your mates that don't do any fucking sport and have nothing to really live for at that age. Do you know what I mean? That just your locals, because they're your friends. And I had it, and that was one of the things that I found the hardest. Was all my best friends when I was 15, 16, trying to go into the elite league, they were smoking doobies and like fucking having barbecues 5 days a week, and you had to go, nah, I gotta go to the gym, or nah, I gotta go training, or nah, and you're gonna have to give some shit up. But that's the reason why you go and make it and get to play in the elite league at 16, and why there are other kids who that you played as a junior with could train for the rest of their life and never gonna get that opportunity. If you got the talent, and that's the other thing, talent is a thing. You have to have the talent to be able to progress to the next level. But I'm gonna quote Ryan Aldridge, and it was his favorite pre-game speech for a 7th place fucking Swindon Wildcats team. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And we fucking beat teams on that speech alone, man. We went into away games that we should have never won. And we worked our fucking bag off. We worked our bag off. It goes down to juniors as well. You work your bag off, someone's going to notice you. And you might have already been noticed. Rupe might have already noticed you at a showcase. You might be 14 years old. But if you were the kid that fucking went that extra mile, guess what? When you're 18 and someone's asking for a recommendation, go, Rupe, didn't that kid train at the fucking showcase for the last 3 years? Oh, yeah, you love this kid. He failed, and then he went again, and he couldn't do this, but he went again, and he squatted this, and he did that. That's going to, whatever it be, that Rupe or your coach at conference or your coach at showcase or your coach at some, you're going to show up on somebody's radar as a guy that wants to fucking do this. Because there's a lot of pretenders. And me and Rupe probably play with fucking 50.
Yeah.
How many pretenders are there? Oh, I want to be a hockey player. And then it gets tough. And they go, oh, maybe not. maybe I don't quite want this. And maybe some of you don't. Maybe some of you are doing this as opposed to going to scouts, as opposed to going to beavers, as opposed to going to, you know, what the most British public do at that age. But some of you do. And you need to start understanding the level that it takes to get there. It takes a certain dedication. Like, I'll use myself as an example. Well, how I got selected for Florida, how I got selected for fucking all these things. I shot 400 pucks a day in the garden. Me and my brother used to put our kit on and beat the wheels off of each other because we knew, but we knew that was the kind of role that we were going to play. It wasn't an accident that between the fucking two of us, we might have lost 5 out of 150 fights. We were beating the shit out of each other in the garden. And I'm talking like in jerseys, practicing tie-ups. And then essentially what MMA wasn't a thing then, but MMA is a thing now. You watch what the MMA training do. Right. I'm going to take your back. You got to get out of it.
Yeah.
That would be the same thing me and my brother would do. Right. I'm going to tie you up here and here. You've got to get out of this now and be able to throw a punch. Nobody's doing that now. I guess the game's gone a different way, but the mindset is the same. The mindset of nobody else was doing that. So what is it? Is it a surprise that we were good at that when we started doing that? No, it wasn't a fucking surprise. You only saw it when I was 19. You didn't see the 8 years that led up to me being 19 of doing that 3 days a week, of shooting 400 pucks every day. Like, that was a thing. Like, it wasn't an accident. I got good at those things. Strength and conditioning is no different, is it?
No. Well, and also like going back to making an impression, it's like I coach for a living, you coach for a living. You know, it's like, how long does it take you to tell if someone's like fired up for a workout or if they've got a good attitude towards training?
Oh yeah,
like
3 seconds.
Yeah, like 2 seconds.
What
right?
when you generally, like nowadays as we're adults and our clientele sometimes be adults, I see that motherfucker getting out of the car at the gym. I'm like, oh, he don't want this today. Like, body language is a big thing. It all is. It all, like you said, how long does it take you to know? 3 seconds now. Maybe in my younger years, it might take me 5-10 minutes into the session. Like, oh, they don't want this today. But now, it's quick. You can tell. If you're good at your job, you can tell.
And also, it's like we had like showcase 2 weeks ago. We had the combine, which was it was like it was a bloody chaotic weekend. It I was just crazy run off my feet, but it was wicked. It was so cool, because they got us.
Any studs? Come on,
stud athletes. Yeah, there's some. Yeah, we got some. You know, and we had like the EIS in Sheffield, which is like where Jess Ennis trains and stuff like that. We had the indoor track. Like, it's just,
by the way, she's so hot. Just throw that. Just throw that out there. Like, you're gonna throw Jess Ennis. Like, oh, she's
obviously.
So hot.
But like, you know,
part of her being hot though is the fact that she's so good.
Well, she's an athlete.
That's hot. Like, that's fucking hot. Like, she is a beast.
Right. You're gonna have to stop talking about physical attractiveness because I'm about to start testing kid ice hockey players. So we're gonna have to sort of draw a line on that bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the attitude that generally the players came like with to the testing was just like, it was just brilliant. Like, it was so.
How many of them do you think did something before they got there?
No, like hardly any, because.
But how do you? The next follow-up question to that: how many of those kids that make that thing next year do you think go in having? Because this is a real question. It doesn't matter how many do it the first time.
Yeah.
The second time, how many of those kids do you think go in on the back of that doing something? I think there's a fucking drastic difference.
That's the big reason why we're doing this. Is just to sort of, it's not that like we want to see what our players are capable of, like obviously as athletes, as part of the reason why. But the big reason is we want to change the culture. We want to show players that it's like,
this is a new culture. This is where we are.
This is why this stuff is important. The EIHA are booking this world-class facility. They're investing in it because they they believe that's the part of the new future, right? And it should be a part of every ice hockey player's future. Whether you're, your worst player of the club, best player of the club, top of the elite league or whatever, is that strength and conditioning should be like
you could be a late bloomer, right, Rupe? You could be 13 right now on the third line, but you're the strongest kid on your team. You could turn 16, be fucking 6 foot tall all of a sudden, still be strong as shit. Now all of a sudden you've got an 85-mile-an-hour shot. You're big, you're strong. Now you've got all the shit that the guy that was way better than you before, you've gone whoop, and you've just caught right up, and now you've got that attitude of 4 years of, hey, training's hard. Training's hard. Like, lifting weights isn't easy. It's not an easy thing. So you have 4 years of mental fucking torture, toughness, whatever you want to call it, that you can now bring to that table.
It's just well also, like, when I was a kid growing up, I played at Streatham. I played B League. Like, I was not, I never played conference, never did any of that. I played, and me and my brothers, like, we were all quite late bloomers. So when I was 16, I noticed, because I had to put it on a job application to be a lifeguard, I was 5'9" and 10 stone.
What?
When I was 16, right? We now, like, from the testing we did, there was an under 12 that was 5'10". That was that height at under 12 and heavier.
That's my height now.
But that's the reality, right? And maturation is like, it differs massively. But when you get to 18, everyone's pretty much evened out.
Yeah.
So the best players are under 12, under 13, under 14. The
zero guarantee they're going to be the best when they get to 18.
Most of them won't be the best players, because how the physical, especially in a sport like ice hockey where there's not a lot of depth, those physically dominant players, they don't have to develop the same skill set to overcome the opposition. They can just cruise by because they're more physically dominant. Now it's the late bloomers like me that had to be much more aware on the ice. I had to become a better skater. I had to be a better, like, ice hockey skill related, type player, just to keep up with the more physically dominant players. And then when I hit 17, 18, 19, I started playing Redskins. That was when I just overtook everyone that I grew up playing with and against, and then that allowed me to go play to Canada, go play in the elite league. Like, and everyone that went to those, like, Southeast under 15 trials, all those kids that made that team, the best players, none of them
no longer player.
None of them played senior hockey. None. Shane Kemp, I think, was the only one who was going.
It's wild because we've seen a lot of very similar. There's very similar things in the Southwest. I know you're Southeast. So very similar things in the Southwest as well. And
yeah,
I'm sure if you ask the Northern Conference and you ask the Midlands Conference, you ask the Scottish Conference, we'd have seen the same things. The only thing is that we don't seem to produce any data in this country on that, so that we can actually go back to the well and go, okay, this is what it is. Which is something that maybe we should start to look to do. Right, we've kept you for ages. There's a couple of things I want to get into just before we let you go, and I think we have to get you back on to do more of your career-based stuff, because obviously me being fucking fitness nerds, I've gone off on pretty much a whole fitness-based thing. But what would your advice be to someone who is in their adolescence? Or actually, let's change that. What would your advice be to the parents of somebody who's in adolescence? They obviously have talent and they're good at their sport, in a very, very niche sport of what it is, of getting to that next level and actually being what we would consider a serious hope for a GB national spot 5, 10, 15 years along the line.
What advice for the...
Well, right, because we've talked about it. Yeah, you might be fucking good at 12. And guess what? Johnny, that's on your team, that's 3'4" right now, is now going to be 6'4" when he's 18.
Yes.
And you're still 5'7", and you've got these. How do you get those kids that are, good? How do you get them to take this seriously? What we've basically spent the last hour and a half talking about, the strength and conditioning, and not to be, because I know as a junior, I could turn up and score a fucking double hat trick every weekend, and I didn't have to do a squat or a fucking squat jump or a push up to be able to do that. I was way better than everybody else.
Yeah,
I was way better than everybody else. So if you'd have came to me at 12 and said, "Watty, you need to go to the gym," I would have said, "No, I fucking don't. I just scored 12 goals in the last 3 games. What are you talking about?" But you're going to eventually, I'm going to run into a bunch of other guys that scored 12 goals in 3 games as well. And it's, how do I be better than the other guys that are scoring those goals in those games when it comes to, essentially, when it matters, when you're going to start getting paid, if you want to make a job out of this.
I think obviously I'm biased coming from the strength and conditioning side, but the big key is, yes, if you're the best ice hockey player in your club, your region, whatever, cool. But you obviously that needs to be a focus. You still need to be developing your ice hockey specific skills, and you still need to be playing at a level which challenges you and means you need to continue to develop your sports specific skills. But then there has to be a focus away from the rink in terms of athlete assessment. Like what, if you completely disregard the player as an ice hockey player, okay, can I do a squat? Can I do a deadlift? How mobile am I? What's my jumping ability? All that sort of stuff. Because in that scenario, most players just have such a high ceiling to get better at everything they do, not just ice hockey, but they could change nothing within their game of ice hockey. If they become a better athlete, it will make them better at ice hockey. So obviously,
the one that you just said about there, like you said, box jump, it's triggered something in my brain. I don't understand now that I work in a commercial gym, if I'm doing, say, a class of 20 people that I don't know. I don't understand how an adult can't do a fucking 12-inch box jump.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck do you mean that you cannot jump 1 foot off of the floor? And this is like a real thing. And I'm talking like 85% of the population. It's a wild thing to my brain as someone who's done that since I was knee-high to a grasshopper.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean you can't jump a foot? I was like, how do you know you cannot jump a foot or a foot and a half, 16, 18-inch box jump? To me, every single human being, unless you're disabled or have a debilitating injury, you should be able to do that as just a common thing.
Yeah.
Now,
100%.
as athletes, I'm looking for my athletes to be jumping 24, 30 inches more. If this old bastard could do a 42-inch box jump with 1 hip, my athletes need to be performing. They need to be powerful. They need to be able to do these things. But the general population is actually quite worrying in the UK. It's like, it surprised me, mate. I didn't know it because my foundation before, I worked in a kickboxing gym. I worked with athletes. Everybody can do everybody can do that. Then you go work with general population. I'm like, how are you 40 and you can't jump 12 inches off the floor? Like, what have you been doing for the last 30 years of your life? I know you work in an office and you don't
jumping.
Need to, yeah, but I know you work in an office, you don't need to jump, but like, how can you be that unathletic? How are you that unathletic as a human being that you can't physically lift your body 12 inches off the floor? I don't understand, because we are so dialed in. What does it take to make people be dialed in like this, where that's unacceptable? That's unacceptable to me. When I see that in a class, even though you're a general population, that fucking pisses me off. I'm like, you've literally shown no care to your body or your fucking anything for the last X amount of years. You should be able to do that as a basic.
So one of the things we're starting to, we incorporated it within, all of the England camps this year so we have now, so I wrote like a set EIHA warm-up and a set EIHA mobility routine. If anyone wants to see what they are, we are sending all of it out to clubs, like full PDFs, but they're on my hockey, my Train Hockey Smart Instagram. That's like my business, which I've set up for resources for ice hockey players. So there is an ice hockey warm up on there, video tutorial of lovely me going through everything, bit music in the background.
Isn't that the worst, by the way?
Yeah,
It's so the worst.
Yeah,
so the worst.
It's literally that warm up routine takes 11 minutes. If players do that before every time they get on the ice, which should be a bare minimum of what anyone is doing, yet hardly any kids are warming up before they get on the ice, which is stupid. Just considering how limited we have in ice time.
See if you can volley the ball on the fucking roof of the rink, and you know, bit of red ass.
Yeah, like if like all kids we're trying to get everyone, no matter what level, to do an off ice warm up. Now that off ice warm up is on my Instagram at Train Hockey Smart. So go and have a look. It's easy. Do it before every time you get on the ice. That's one thing. If you do that, that's 10 12
That means
minutes.
Monday and Wednesday night, guys, not just Saturday, Sunday game days. That means before you get to practice, if you turn up and you got an extra session on the Sunday, or you got Southwest or Southeast, that means then as well. Like, it doesn't just mean Saturday, Sunday.
Because if you do that, and if you're a good ice hockey player, you might be on the ice 3 times a week practicing games, more, possibly 4. Like you got the guys at Ozone offering extra stuff. Yeah. There's like players are on the ice way more than what me and you. You know, that's potentially 4 times a week of doing a warm up. That's, you know, almost an hour, an extra week of doing something athletic. That, like, I'm convinced, even if every ice hockey player in the country were to do that, everyone would be a better athlete, quite considerably. Like it doesn't take much. And then we have an off-ice mobility session that we're trying to incorporate. Every time you get off the ice, maybe do a 6-minute mobility session afterwards.
Loosen those hips, loosen those shoulders, make sure those joints are going to last you longer than mine did or yours did. Paper mache joints, me and you over here.
Well,
but we didn't have that foundation.
No, like in this country, the most common injury in ice hockey is groin strains, hip strains, right? A lot of guys end up needing surgeries. That injury, it's pretty evident when the research, is completely avoidable.
So preventable.
Completely avoidable with proper strength and mobility. Completely avoidable. With the Flames, my main thing was we wanted to get them lifting twice a week all the way throughout the year, no matter what their game schedule. Now, if they had a midweek game, we take the weight right down. It's much lighter. It's just a movement workout, but it's dumbbells, step ups, all that sort of stuff. They're still doing something.
Blood's flowing, body's moving, multiple joints, multiple angles.
Yeah. So twice a week, every week, no matter what. That was just one core goal for me, and it took guys some getting used to. The ones that aren't used to training in season. Yeah, like they were potentially a little bit sore, but then week 3 or 4 of doing it, they're suddenly doing the exact same thing. They realize they're not sore, and then suddenly their ability to recover is better. And it's like, oh, that's, you know, then you get guys buying in, and you get guys really, really saying, and then, you know, towards the end of the year, we got guys that did no training in the summer or very little training in the summer, and then they're lifting the day before a game, before cup final week,
gagging for it.
Just because, and you know, they're not lifting that heavy, but it's just they feel that it makes them a better player, and they feel like they can do it, and it's not, and it makes them recover better. They're not worried about causing fatigue, and it's just that frequency is the key. Just getting into the habit of just doing something as regularly as possible. And our biggest thing with the Flames last year, which really allowed, you know, it's helped the team sort of buy in, as in the organization, to buy into the strength and conditioning a bit more this year, which is really positive. Is our injuries were really low.
You guys had the least amount of missed games per season, which ultimately led to a 2nd place finish.
Yeah, and in terms of if a team is looking at what you know, not just elite league team, but any team, national league team, third league team. If you're looking at, okay, should we invest a little bit into strength and conditioning? If your best player is out for 3 weeks, how much does that cost the organisation
Well,
of that player?
imagine Lalonde and Ferguson missed 15 games each last year. Guildford don't finish fucking second.
Well,
Do they? They don't,
yeah,
because you can't miss your best athletes, whatever
Yeah.
your sport is, basketball, cricket, whatever the fuck it is. You take two of your best athletes out of a team because they're injured, because they don't look after their bodies. That is potentially cost you, in our sport, 30 points.
yeah. And I'm not, it's like I don't want to try and say strength and conditioning should take like credit for all the injury prevention, because there is an element of luck involved. There's an element of, players taking care of themselves. Like,
yeah, not getting hit in the fucking teeth
separately
with
from
shot.
S&C, it's a style of game is different. It's all that sort of stuff. Comes down to recruitment as well. Like Digger and Hemmer did a bloody amazing job last year. That was a big reason for our success in terms of just recruiting, like spotting the right guys that other teams weren't really sniffing around on. But it's if you like, I'm convinced that if a team invests in strength and conditioning, they will see a return which is more than what they invested in the terms of
1,000%.
not having to pay for surgeries, not having to pay guys when they're hurt, stuff like that. If it doesn't take
missing
much.
man games.
Yeah, like supplying gym membership, supplying a program, paying someone like me or another S&C, like to just sort of manage the players' physical wellness and their athletic, and provide them resources to help make them more athletic. I'm just like, there's a reason why Chelsea and Man City and all these countries spent millions on it. It's because they make that money back in the fact that their players are healthier and they don't miss as many games. Like it comes full circle. So I guarantee if there's a National League team that is looking for like S&C resources or something like that, like there will be ways that well, it like I'm looking to start creating partnerships with National League teams and whatnot. National League teams, other teams that want strength and conditioning advice, whether it be like online programming through training apps and stuff like that. Much like if anyone's interested in like a summer off-season training program, I especially want to get National League players on it, because like what we were saying before, in terms of athletes that are getting paid to play but aren't investing any time or effort into strength and conditioning, it's like, I'm doing this because I don't want to see players get hurt more than their performance. And it's like, it's such an essential part of what an ice hockey player needs to do, is to just be fit and healthy and
Also
and
in
be
the National League, right? There's a fine line between being a £125 a week player and a £375 a week player. And if you're right now not going to you got talent, but you're not going to the gym and you're not really getting the peak out of your performance, you're on 125 quid a week, you've only got your fucking self to blame. You want to make that 375 and go to work and be a plumber and make £1,000 a week, and all of a sudden that 375 a week sitting in a second bank account for you to go to the fucking Maldives for a month when the season's finished and live your best life for your missus, all inclusive and all that sort of game. You could do that. You could be holding some folding, all by taking the off-ice stuff serious, which leads me to my very last question. Something that we haven't touched on. We've touched on, obviously, the strength and conditioning side and actually the physical side of things. But how important is nutrition for these athletes now? Long are the days gone of us getting back on a bus with a KFC and fucking 12 cans of beer and getting back down the road a bit. Now the boys are focused on nutrition, when to eat, when not to eat, what to eat, when to make sure you're taking your supplements, you're hydrated. How important is what we eat and what we actually put in our fuel our bodies with when it comes down to athletic performance?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if like it's like working in the fitness industry, it's like, it's the most, like, the whole thing where it's like you can't out train a bad diet and all that sort of stuff. It's like, it's obviously huge. Like, and what I would say, like, what's helped my understanding of this is understanding like how energy balance works, like what carbohydrates do actually within your body to help create energy, what fats do, what protein does. And when being able to, like, what should your pre-game meal be? Should it, like, you know, being able to, in terms of proportion of carbohydrates, proteins, fats, all that sort of stuff, should probably be more of a carbohydrate-based meal, because you're going to need that energy when you're out on the ice. Post-game, what does it need to be? Like, you probably want to make sure you're getting your protein in, you're rehydrating, not just sinking 10 beers as soon as you get off the ice, all that sort of stuff. It's like all this stuff players are taking much more seriously now, especially in the, like, you know, Flames players still like to go out and booze
why wouldn't
and
they?
stuff
There's
like
still
that.
blokes, there's still
You know,
lads. Like, yeah.
and we had a pretty young team. Like, most of them want to go out and hit the town as often as they can, right? Like, they want to go out and have fun, but like, there's ways to make sure they're doing it sort of responsibly and in a controlled way, where it's, you know, it's not going to affect their on ice performance. Like,
so they could have a Monday club after a weekend's hard graft. You got 4 or 5 days to get back on the ice. Nutrition's back to being bulletproof, and there's still ways you can do these things. And nobody's telling you young fucking 18, 19, 20-year-old lads, you're not allowed to go out with the boys, you're not allowed to throw a few shapes, or you're not allowed to take a bird out for a few bottles of wine and a fucking nice pizza, or a couple of garlic breads and carbonara. No one's saying you can't do any of these things, but it's doing these things, but allowing yourself to know, like, okay, if I have this day, then I need to be making sure my water intake's good. I need to be making sure that I'm having fruits and veg. And as much as this probably sounds so fucking boring to you lot, and it probably would have to me in my early 20s or whatever, it's so crucial. And being lean enough that you can do your job properly without having to carry 12, 14, 16, 18 pounds extra body weight that you do not need to be carrying, to having energy in the third period because your body's fueled correctly and your energy systems are working on the right systems that you need to be. You're replacing your glycogen stores after performances, whether it be training, whether it be games. You're rehydrating, as Rupe says. Little mini wins, right? If you got 1%, 2% better off your strength and conditioning, and you got the same off your nutrition, and you got the same off of your sleep, you got the same off your mobility, those 1 or 2% just add up to 10% better.
100%.
Now, if you're a fucking 60-point scorer, you're now a 66-point scorer, which in the elite league takes you over 1 point per game.
That is such a great way to put it. Like in terms of all those little percentages, like I like to think about it as, you know, anytime you have like say strength and conditioning, nutrition. One thing I'll mention on that as well is like sleep. Sleep is probably the one thing that most players is most overlooked, and you can probably get the most benefits out of changing.
Because we sit and play video games, or we watch NHL, and there's like fucking San Jose v Anaheim. You're like 3 o'clock in the morning, go to bed.
Yeah,
but we don't, because we're specimens.
Yeah, like you know, I like coaching, doing what I'm doing. Like I love an analogy and stuff like that. And so to explain all this like sports science stuff, I always love an analogy to put it in like normal person speak. And it's like, I kind of see strength and conditioning as like, or strength and conditioning and just like optimal lifestyle, living like an athlete, right? It's almost like, you know, you're driving and you've just got a road that's just like pristine, absolutely mint. It's like when you don't have like all that stuff in order, it's like you go over a pothole, you go over a speed bump, and it just slows you down. It takes you back. You just can't like it doesn't like it allows you to perform better, obviously, but what it really stops is that like just negative progress and that like that hiccup. You know, it's by doing all the things off the ice and being a good athlete, then just allows you, when you're on the ice, you can just go and you're just like free to progress, and your trajectory on how good you're gonna get is just gonna keep going up, and you're not gonna have those like peaks and troughs when you dislocate your shoulder, you got to have surgery, you're done. Well, I mean, that was quite an extreme one.
Yeah, but like, but in junior hockey, mate, you do that because you're weak and you pop a shoulder. You have an
Yeah.
18-game season. You might miss 5 months. You might have a 4-game season.
Yeah.
And at 15, 16, crucial development age, you're fucked.
Yeah. Even groin strain. If you're out for a month with a groin strain and you're always struggling to rehab it, every time you get back on the ice, it's like, it's sore, you know. It's like I know so many kid players that are like going to the physio all the time because they're nicked up. And then it's like, how often are they training off the ice? Like twice a month. And it's like, I understand young hockey players is difficult, but it's like if you can increase that frequency, it's like you don't need to go to the physio all the time because you're just built better,
More robust.
You know? Yeah, like more robust. Like it's it helps. It just makes feel like plain sailing, just being able to do all that little things right.
Rupe,
Yeah.
this has been epic, but we've been going for 2 hours plus, and our producer will be around with me. But this has been a lot of fun, mate, and I hope everybody that's been watching along, you've taken 1, 2, 5, 10 things out of this interview, and you can implement it back into your training. I hope some of you parents, hey, it's not just about the kids. Like, some of you parents, you could take a leaf out of their book and use that to change your life. It's not just athletes that can benefit from strength and conditioning, from good nutrition, from good sleep. We all can. We could all do with, you know, lowering the cortisol levels and lowering the cholesterol levels and
100%.
lowering the blood pressure and everything else, like athletes or not. But I hope you've all taken something away from this, and I hope you're all gonna then hit the subscribe button. Rupe's going to tell you right now where you can find all his summer programs, and we'll be promoting that a little bit throughout 4,000 account. And there is going to be a discount code coming for some of you guys. Apparently, it's Watty is Jack. Check out the gun show.
Watty is jacked, all in caps. So yeah, what we got, what's launched now, I'm just starting to publicize it now. We have a 12-week off-season training program. Anyone can find the information on my Instagram at Train Hockey Smart. All the information's there, links, click-throughs, all that sort of stuff to go and read more information and sign up. What we're really trying to do with that is just obviously, you know, as we've mentioned, people that are working in the ice hockey community, we need to try and help players with all these resources. Now, what I want to do is I want to make sure people have a place to go when they need some help with their training. They don't know what to do, and they can go somewhere which is affordable and it's trusted because it's put together by someone that works with pro athletes and has played in all the UK leagues and all that sort of stuff. So any information about the off-season program is on Train Hockey Smart. We're also, as I mentioned earlier, we're doing a St. Mary's summer camp. This is for younger players. So anyone could come, learn how to train properly. We're going to teach as young as 9, 10-year-olds how to lift. We got girls only day. That's at St. Mary's Uni, again, at Train Hockey Smart. Any updates on any of that sort of stuff. And we want to start working with national teams and all that sort of stuff. We want to really help change the culture of all this stuff. So if anyone's got any questions whatsoever, go on Train Hockey Smart, find me a DM, and I'll get back to you.
You heard the man. Do it, ladies and gentlemen. But for now, this has been another episode of 4,000 and Counting. It has been brought to you by our sponsors, Hurricane e-bike. Make sure you subscribe, follow all our social media channels, and we'll see you again for another episode very, very soon. Peace.